Hello and welcome to Transitions, the podcast that helps you to transition through life. I'm your host, Chris Powell. My co-host, I wish she was here, Emily Pierce, could not join us today. She's in Aruba. Woo, very painful, but she'll be back next time. As always, please like and follow the Transitions. Follow Transitions on Instagram and Facebook at Transitions Podcast Show. You can always shoot us an email at transitionspodcast7@gmail.com or visit our webpage to subscribe to get updates at Transition. I got to get my tongue tied here. Transitionspodcast7.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Today, we're talking with Charmaine Betty Singleton. Hey, Charmaine, how are you?
I'm fine, Chris. How are you?
Great. Let me tell our audience who you are. Charmaine was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and grew up in Queens, New York. She attended Virginia Union University and Washington Lee Law School. For over 20 years, she served in the U.S. Army. Thank you, Charmaine, for your service.
Thank you.
She has her first book, Moments in Herstory, From Pain to Purpose. She collaborated with Lakita Stewart Thompson and other authors, and that book became a bestseller. She's gone on to write several other books. She loves to write poems and inspirational pieces. She lives her life to the fullest and encourages others to do the same. So, Charmaine, welcome to Transitions Podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Good. Now, you've gone through a lot of transitions in your life, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I have gone through many. Yes.
So you were born in Jamaica and you came to the United States. How old were you then?
I think I was less than 18 months old. My mom and I came in 1969, and I was born in 1968. And so my father stayed in Jamaica to complete his work there for the government, and he joined us probably around the age of 12, my age.
Wow.
But I saw him throughout that time. I went back and forth to Jamaica. I actually started school in Jamaica at the age of 3 and stayed there for probably about a year. But however, when I came back to the United States, I had to repeat kindergarten, so to speak. But later on, I was skipped while I was in high school, so it made up.
So what was your awareness of transitions at such an early age? You didn't even know you were going through transition, but you were. After reflection and looking back on it, what were some of the high points or the key points or maybe the low points in that early childhood development of yours?
For the most part, my life was pretty good from a child's point of view. However, in reflection, as you said, one reason I don't have an accent is because my mom was discriminated against when she transitioned from Jamaica to the United States, even in Queens, New York, which is a good population of immigrants and Jamaicans. She didn't want me to be discriminated even more so, not only for being a woman or the color of my skin. So I realized that growing up during the week, we were Americans, so to speak. But it was like when we got home on Fridays, everything changed. The atmosphere of the house was different. We had Jamaican music. Our families came over and we collaborated and just had fun and just embraced our culture. And then it was like almost at the crack of midnight, on Sunday, going into Monday, we transitioned back into being a part of the American culture, so to speak.
Was that hard? Was that hard on you? Did you see that as a disconnect somehow?
Not growing up, but I think later on in life, it taught me how to blend in, so to speak, to be a chameleon, to have different personas depending on the group I was associated with. the environment or even the people I encountered. So there were times people really did not know the real or full Charmaine, because I
Mhm.
did what people expected of me, so that I would not bring attention to myself, attention that may cause anger, people to be upset with me, or different things like that.
But you did exceptionally well because you emerged and you went through universities. You're an attorney, you got your law degree, and you served in the U.S. Army for how long did you serve?
Well, over 20 years, and I'm still kind of affiliated with the military. I work for the California National Guard, and I'm a volunteer with the California State Guard. And so, military is my passion in helping the environment, so to speak. But I believe the reason for my success is twofold. One, God.
Amen.
My family was a family of faith, especially my mom. She prayed me in and out of trouble, so to speak. And so, but I think at the age of 7, when I decided that I wanted to go to law school. Well, let me just tell a short story. I really wanted to be a police officer, but my mom said, being her only child and growing up in New York, no way would I be a police officer in New York. And so I went back and thought about it and said I wanted to be a doctor. Then I was like, nah, I really don't want to do that. I don't like blood. I don't like people's pain and stuff like that. So at the age of 7, I wanted to be a lawyer. And I remember my dad asking me, why do you want to be a lawyer? And I said, because I'm a genius and I'm intelligent. And my dad said, spell it. And I spelled both words. And he says, well, if you can spell it, I guess you can do it. And so I think it was an invisible pact that my family made, that I was going to be a lawyer. And they basically spoke life over me. They prayed with me. They supported me in my decisions. While I was in high school, I was able to do college upward bound with John Jay School of Criminal Justice. So when I went into college at Virginia Union, I entered into college with already 12 credit hours. Anything that I wanted to do regarding law, my family was there. Even my teachers in high school, I was in a pre-law class, so to speak. And I remember my teachers, taking me to a prison in New York. And the prison, setting was for women, and we were able to go there and talk to some of the women there, and that really sealed my fate, and this is what I wanted to do, to help people. And then lastly, my dad, he worked for the New York education system as an accountant, and one of the programs he was over was the GED program. And at the age of 17, I was a chief guest speaker, or the keynote speaker for the GED graduations. And from 17 to when I graduated from college, on and off while I was at home and law school, I was the speaker. So in Harlem, I mentored to students graduating with their GED, and also I had the opportunity to go into Rikers Island and be a keynote speaker for some of the inmates that received their GED as well.
Outstanding. And it sounds like, and it looks like you've gotten a lot into the nonprofits. You're the CEO of Praises to the King Enterprise. What's Praises to the King Enterprises?
Basically, it is an organization that is an umbrella for different things, for my writing, my consulting, and for helping people within the community. I try to be an advocate wherever I am. So the business was incorporated when I was stationed in Arkansas, and I realized that even though I was passing through, God positioned me in places for a reason. And so if people needed to hear my voice or needed someone to advocate for them, or just to help with consulting or motivation, I was that person. And I'm still
Excellent.
that person.
Excellent. So, with all your experience and all, by the way, what did you retire as? And
I retired in 2017 from Fort Hunter Liggett. installation in California. And God has jokes because I thought I would be returning back to the East Coast, and God has kept me in California. And now I reside in Sacramento, California.
Mm-hmm. So did you retire as a major, or a lieutenant colonel?
I retired as a lieutenant colonel.
Very good, very good. All right. So, and by the way, that's an 05 for those that don't know what a lieutenant colonel is. So, what advice would you give our audience, considering where you've come? There's some folks out there that are in deep transition of every sort, from crisis to very good things, to very profound things that are about to happen. What advice would you give? Because it looks like most of your life has been a transition of one sort or another, doesn't it? So what advice would you give directly to folks right now?
To keep God first and to recognize that the Bible is real. My transition from active duty to what I'm doing now was very hard for me because, as I said, the military is my life and my passion. And I remember crying out to God and saying, why? What am I supposed to do right now? I'm not ready to leave the military. And so I went to the Bible and I decided that I wanted to do a Gideon prayer. And I said, well, Lord, you need to show me a sign or send me a sign. And I was specific, and I needed to be in writing within the next 24 to 48 hours. So I know where I need to go. And lo and behold, God sent me a sign via an email through a friend of mine who provided me with a job application for the job that I'm working now. Don't be scared to talk to God like the people in the Bible did. David cried out to him at times in anguish when he thought he was surrounded by enemy forces, when things weren't going right in his life. He cried out and said, God, basically, why have you forsaken me? Just like Jesus did on the cross. But even in that crying out and that anger, he said, Lord, I will still praise you, and I will wait until I get that answer or that opportunity. So cry out to God, talk to him, plead before him, because basically you have to pray without ceasing. But lastly, have a support group around you, people that believe in you, can speak life over you and give you godly wisdom. I've had a community of people, and it says it takes a village to raise a child. I'm still a child. And so I go to my village and I ask for wisdom. I sit at the feet of older people, and I still embrace the younger people because they help me with the technology and different things of that nature. So I would say pray, stay close to God, and have a good support system as you transition from one thing to another.
Great. You're seeing two retired military people. I echo exactly what Charmaine says. That support group is paramount. Prayer is paramount. All right, so we're going to go to a commercial break. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, and we'll return in just a minute.
80% of women will develop a pelvic health condition at some point in their lives. There is relief. There is hope. The Pelvic Floor Store, your resource for personal health.
Thank you to our sponsor and for those joining us as we are here with Charmaine Betty Singleton, author, speaker, and entrepreneur. And Charmaine, on our break, we were just talking about a subject, and I'd like to explore that. This is on Pretender. Can you amplify and kind of get into that piece about what that looked like in the past? You kind of got into it a little bit, but what it is like right now.
Yes, pretending, a form of assimilation, basically blending in. And right now, with the way our society is so divisive, sometimes you just want to blend in so people do not disrespect you, take advantage of you, or you put yourself in bad situations. And so throughout my military career, I had to travel all over the world. And in some places, people did not like the color of my skin. They did not like the fact that I was a woman. So I had to figure out how to keep my job and also keep my mouth closed while at the same time, talk to God and figure out, why did you have me here first? And what am I supposed to do? And I remember when I was in Houston, I cried out to God again and I said, Lord, why are you here? These people don't like me. And it was a time when I was one of the first full-time person that was there, that was of color, that was giving advice to people that did not look like me. And it was not going over well. And I said, God, what do you want to do with me? Because I don't want to be here. You need to get me some new orders and send me somewhere else where I'm comfortable. And he basically said, no, you sit here and do what I tell you to do. And I had to figure that out. So I had to assimilate, so to speak, and pretend that I liked the situation. And behind me in my virtual screen, it is the word love. And I had to love being in a place that people did not like me. And that's sometimes a part of pretending is showing love when you really don't want to do it. Praying for your neighbors, praying for your enemies. And then you wait for the appropriate time that you can speak your truth. And basically, the people had to get to know me. They did not know anything about me. And to be honest, I didn't want them to know anything about me, and I didn't want to know anything about them. But we had to have a conversation. So I started walking around and talking to people and learning about diversity in a different way, and their culture and their likes and their dislikes. And in doing so, people embraced me, and I started to embrace them. And then when the opportunity was right, I started to talk about being more inclusive and how you bring different people of different walks of life into the fold. And at the end of that job, I actually had more friends than enemies. And I've realized as I grew in rank and in position, when God placed me in different areas, that's exactly how he was using me to speak to the commanders. And as a lawyer, a lot of times, to ensure that they made wise and fair and just rules. And when they disciplined soldiers or civilians, that they were doing it with equity across the board. And they were looking at each person and each situation and being just in whatever they were doing, whether they were promoting someone or they were rewarding them with a bonus or just giving someone extra time. And so that's how I have prided my life now, is looking for that opportunity to speak, to wait, to ask God, what do you want me to do in this situation? Because I am that Moses. A lot of the times I'm like, Lord, this is not me. I'm not comfortable. This is not what I was asking for. And he said, but I need you to speak to that Pharaoh, and that's that person of higher authority, and appeal to the injustice so that the people within that community can be set free, whether it is helping the homeless, working with veterans, working with women or children in domestic violence situations, or just working with sexism and racism. And speaking my truth of how it is to be in a boardroom and have a seat at the table, but not necessarily have a voice that is heard at the table.
Okay, so there's folks out there right now that feel exactly where you were at, but they're lost. They have no idea how to proceed. Now, you heard from God and you proceeded. And that has to do with prayer. That has to be close to the Lord. But there's people out there that are feeling very oppressed. And so what recommendations or what advice? I know, stay in prayer, stay with the Lord. I know that. But how to approach, you actually said something very important as you connected with people. You built rapport with people, and that carried through the relationship. So can you address that part? Because some people just close themselves off and they're not going to do anything. But if they reach out and start connecting, what does that do? Can you address that?
Yes. You have to look beyond yourself. I haven't always really walked with God, and I said I know now, but in the past. So you are going to feel angry. You are going to feel overlooked. And those are healthy and true feelings. And I don't want to disregard how you feel. But after you get through those emotions, and you need your job, so to speak, and you're looking at the job announcements, or you're looking at your bank account and say, I can't transition right now. I have to stay in this place. But even though you have to stay in this place, you don't have to be stuck in that place, and you don't have to be stuck in a feeling of anger or being overlooked. And sometimes you just have to wait your time and wait your turn. And in doing so, leaders that I have looked up to, like General Colin Powell and others, they said, walk around and learn your environment, and then don't use your own race or your own sex against you, kind of put it in their face in a respectful way. And so when I walked around, I made connections, and basically I may get that question, why are you here? And I just said, I wanted to learn. I wanted to know what's going on. I want to know how your day is. And sometimes, people, they may have gruffed at me, but I came back the next day and the next day. And eventually it's like chopping down a tree. You can't chop it down with one swing. At least I can't. I'm 4'11", and I'm a short, petite woman. So I can't knock down that giant or that Goliath just with that one stone, so to speak. But God can do anything, but me, I can't in my own strength. However, I can go back to that situation over and over and over and kind of wear them down. Being that little puppy, so to speak, nipping at the feet until somebody has to pay attention to me. And then when they pay attention to me, they listen to me. And 9 times out of 10, they learn to like me. And I think at the end, most part, they learn to love me, because we find that common ground. We find that situation that we are human, that we need each other to get along. And especially in a military environment or in an office environment or in a community environment, teamwork makes the dream work. And so if you can find that mutual ground to become a team, then those enemies become your friends.
Folks, you have just heard wisdom. I mean, down deep, honest wisdom. It's all about that connection. And all of a sudden, when people start knowing each other, the color of the skin or the gender or all that starts dropping. It doesn't completely. It starts dropping off until you can build that relationship. So do you still have friends from that era, Charmaine?
Oh, yes, I still have friends from that era. And I actually have nieces and nephews of different colors, cultures, and everything. I can go back to Iowa, Arkansas, and other places. And I'm one of those people, I have a home everywhere I go.
Had you not stepped out, what would have happened?
Yes, if I had not stepped out and taken that leap of faith, I would not have a rainbow of supporters. And I call it a rainbow coalition of family. Just the other day here in California, I went to a family friend that I met here, and my nephew was born, Wyatt. And Wyatt is Caucasian and Mexican descent. And so I am happy to be a part of his life, and so that he knows about diversity. He knows that he has an auntie that loves him and that is praying for him, but it could help him as well transition to the various things that he has to go through in life. And I think that's what it's all about, that we do not hide behind the barriers that society has out there for us, but we do what God wants us to do and making those connections and bringing people into the fold and making our communities and our situations a better place there where we can live, love, and laugh together.
Yeah, folks, John Maxwell says leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. And the basis of all influence is connection and rapport. You cannot get around that. So Charmaine has stepped out and actually done that successfully. And look where she's at. She's a very successful lady. So Charmaine, what's next for you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Right now I am working on my PhD in trauma and disaster relief. I know that there are people that have a lot of illnesses, mental illness as related to different things that's going on, even right now with the injustice and the social unrest that is going on, and even fires here in California. And as a result of that, there is some trauma. So I want to help people dealing with those issues, as well as communities and how to work with them and embrace them, because I can come into work supposedly as that angry Black woman. However, people don't know what my work or my life is throughout the week or the weekend. But if they realize that it's because of the prejudice that I have faced, maybe the office environment will be more able to work with me if they see the signs of the hidden mental traumas that people bring to work in different areas each and every day.
Outstanding. Now, this, folks, this is just oozing with wisdom. Listen to Charmaine. She is so good. So you have all sorts of things also that you're doing. You have a shoe line, I guess, or something like that?
Yes, I do. Quickly about that, transition. Okay, so I'm a speaker, and because of COVID, I could not travel around the world and speak words of wisdom to people. My niece passed away to COVID back in March of last year. So I prayed out and asked to God again, what do I do? And he allowed me to design shoes, and is basically stepping out in faith in the face of adversity and still being able to attain your dream. So I encourage people by my shoe line. Basically, when they look down, even when they can't look up, they look at their food on their feet, and they're encouraged to keep on moving, to keep on stepping as they walk into their destiny.
So tell us how people find you. Where do you have a podcast?
No, I don't have a podcast, but I will be doing that soon. However, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram under my business name, which is PTK Enterprises LLC. You can find me under my personal name, Charmaine E. Betty Singleton. You can email me at PTK Enterprises LLC at gmail.com. And if you Google me, you can find me on Amazon too as well, under numerous books that I either wrote or collaborated with others.
By the way, how many books have you written?
Oh,
I looked you up. That's a bunch.
It's a bunch of them. I don't count them. I just kind of do them.
So, folks, I would highly recommend you connect with Charmaine. She can help you in a lot of ways, and she has a burn and a passion to serve people to the highest level. So, what's your biggest dream right now, Charmaine? Your biggest dream?
My biggest dream? In the words of Dr. Miles Monroe, I want to die empty. Everything that God has inside of me, I want to pour out to everyone else. So that is my dream. That is my motivation. That is my desire and passion, to die empty, helping others to succeed.
Wow. Wow. So that means that it does not matter what flavor of human being that is. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right. I love all people. I love everyone.
Yeah, because as far as I can tell, there's only one human race. That's
yes,
a human race, right?
Yeah.
So good. One last thought, some words of wisdom to our audience that you could give to impart over our discussion, or maybe something that came to you during our discussion that you really think would add, or you believe would add value to our audience.
Do not be complacent. Step out of the boat of fear, anxiety, and do whatever you believe that you're supposed to be doing, whatever it is, that little thing that's inside of you that you have neglected to do, just do it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. God perfects the imperfect, just
Amen.
like with David. When he threw that rock to Goliath, he didn't think he was going to beat the Goliath, but he said by faith. And that's what we have to do. Just get out and do it. Just do it.
I wish we had another hour, but we don't. So we got to go. So we want to thank our guest, Charmaine Betty Singleton, for speaking with us today. Charmaine, if we already went through how folks can contact you. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Transitions Podcast, and visit our website to subscribe to updates at transitionspodcast7.com. And you can always email us questions and feedback at transitionspodcast7@gmail.com. Folks, please contribute to WYTV7 at WYTV7.org. This is a ministry. As you can see, there's a lot of value here. So please contribute. So thank you, and we will see you next time.